Hey guys, welcome back to Deepak's Daily Reading, and I'm going to talk about the book The Gap and the Gain by Dan Sullivan with Benjamin Hardy. So I finished this book now. It was a book I managed to actually read in less than 2 days, less than a day and a half to be honest with you, so quite happy about that. It's about 4 hours of listening to Audible at 2.35x. So I want to go through some of the stuff that I've written. There's a fair amount, so we'll be together for a while. So nonetheless, winners don't have a to-do list, they have a done list. This is a quote from basketball coach, I believe, Tim Grover. So winners don't have a to-do list, they have a done list. So this is about developing win streaks or win stacking. I really like this concept, but the idea is each day pile on as many wins based upon the day before as you can. It shouldn't be work to write it. You should spend a maximum of 5 minutes, but just write down the wins from the day before or that day if you're writing at the end of the evening, and that really builds good feeling and momentum and forces you to focus on the positives. The next quote I've got is a person who, and this is again another book that I greatly enjoyed, the person who fails enough to keep failing rather, then ultimately they'll succeed. So the person who keeps failing and who fails long enough will eventually win, because you'll fail so much that ultimately you'll figure out how to win. So I think that's true. To keep in it, stick with it, keep failing, because as long as you keep failing forward, you're going to do well. So that's that part there. The next one is, if you're able to live in the game daily, you can ultimately define your own progress, and you begin to become a player in a totally different game, and you begin to operate at different levels because you're building everything that you do subsequent and based upon the gain that you've acquired, and this becomes a renewable energy source. So I've modified some of Benjamin Hardy's statements. So the idea is with that is, look, if you build these win streaks and you focus upon that, you start to operate at different levels. So one example is that it's Saturday and I actually did go to bed on Friday at 9:30, which is something I've not done in months, and I am up at 4:30. I was knackered by 9 and I got into bed at 9:30 and I closed the lights by 9:40, and I'm beginning to play my own game. And because I'm beginning to play my own game, which is I want to keep my 4:30 streak going, then it really does mean that I'm beginning to play in my own game and at a different level from everybody else. So inadvertently, without competing against everyone else, I'm doing well. So it's interesting. I really like this concept. I'll forward you a link from Benjamin Hardy, his culture wall. This is something that I want to put up in Italy as well. So the next thing is that when you don't live in the gain with people around you, you can unknowingly institute a lot of psychological damage to the person and detriment to the relationship. So you must also live in the gain with people around you. So certainly with myself, yesterday I wasn't living in the gain with Daniela because she doesn't want to come back immediately to London for the first month or two, because she just wants to focus on getting set up in Italy, and I was just focused upon what I need to do here, and we got into an argument because there's various things to maybe come back for. So I didn't appreciate how much she's focused on the gain of, well, she's trying to organize her commercial business unit for her studio. That's coming with a lot of complications because she's not used to all of the administration involved with regulations and stuff. So I should have just focused upon that. So living in the game with people around you is also important as well. Then we've got sticking to, ultimately, and this is great. So it says sticking to ideals is a little bit like sailing a boat you're never on the course line of, or if you are, it's momentarily, because you always veer slightly to the left, slightly to the right, and constantly you're steering yourself back to the center. So ultimately it's you are in pursuit of your ideals, and that's a constant. So, and that's normal and that's healthy. If you're nailing everything all the time, then that's, to me, honestly a bit strange. It means the goals aren't high enough. So I quite like that. And then thinking also realistically, this whole gain concept. So the book The Gap and the Gain, I don't know if I've even mentioned it, to be honest with you. It focuses around the idea that you should live in the gain So what that means is that a lot of people focus on the negative, a lot of people focus on ultimately what they need to do instead of focusing on, well, what did we already achieve? And for me, that's very, very powerful, because to be honest with you, it's made me already a lot happier since I've started using this concept. I was talking to my accountability coach yesterday, and she said, okay, you're more positive now. And she said, how's that working for you? And I said, I'm happier. So as a person, I am much happier than I was, and actually I'm achieving at higher levels in respect of the fact that just my routine is much more solid, and I'm happy. So really living in the game and being positive about all of the progress that I make is much, much better, because I see now it's becoming that renewable energy source instead of trying to charge off of a battery pack. So what progress have I made today, and continuing with that as a win streak. So yeah, that's great. But at the same time, it says here, thinking that you'll always be in the gain will end up putting you in the gap, because you're at times it will vary, but the goal, and this is where it relates to that goal, don't think that you'll perfectly be in the gain every day. There'll be gap days or gap moments, but the goal is to be aware of that and force yourself to say, okay, well, what was positive in all of this? What was positive from this outcome? And one example of that was, we were living in the gap, Axel and I, when we went through our four events in one day on Tuesday. That was a day where I missed doing any voice notes, but we quickly got back to the gain when we focused on, well, what are all of the positives out of this? So that's that. And that's why doing things skillfully rather than perfectly is better, because chasing for perfect will keep you in the gap. So I'll finish here as to my initial notes. I've got way more, and I'll continue with this book in a little while.
Hey guys, it's Deepak Shukla here. I am huge on listening to books on Audible. So if you're interested in getting all of the insights as I discover them through the course of all the books I read, please do comment, like, and of course subscribe, so that you get notified every time we release a video. Thank you so much, and I hope to hear from you soon.